Hello, lovely people. I'm Sinéad, and welcome back. I hope you had a lovely weekend holiday if you observed the holiday. And this week, I have done more gnomes. Not surprising. We aren't quite caught up on the levels that they like to keep in stock at Laughing Gnome. So that's good for me. That means there's a little bit of work still for me to do. But I also have been trying to focus, which that's a challenge in of itself. But I'm trying to work on my porcelain doll repair. It's a doll that my grandmother, paternal grandmother, gave to me that belonged to her older siblings. It was a Kestner, and or is a Kestner, didn't change. But when I got her, she still had her body, but it was so deteriorated, it was leaking from everywhere. And eventually I didn't have any choice but to give up on it because I didn't know how to restore it at that time. And I'm not sure that it was restorable when I think back on it and how bad a shape it was in. The all of the seams were gone. She was in bad shape, but there was enough there for me to see what she looked like so that I could proceed with deciding whether or not I wanted to restore her back to the original or whether or not I just wanted to play with her. Anyway, that is something that I was gonna share with you today, is how that's been going. And I found Granny's head and I found my sheep's face. They were both in a basket inside the safe, where, go with the joke there. It was protecting them from getting lost and from being found. I was working also on a fairy house. I started that project several years ago, I think. And it's supposed to be a downloadable PDF when I finally get it done that you can then assemble yourself. And I'm debating about giving it to you in its undecorated state, which is kind of the direction I kind of want to offer you the opportunity to decorate it your way. But also having a decorated one so that if you didn't want to decorate it, there would be one available with my watercolor work on it. And that's something I will eventually, I have it here on the desk as a project that's ongoing, and I will eventually get that to where I can share it. Right now it's printouts that aren't very interesting, don't really show anything. So let's turn the camera around and I'll share the other bits. So first I have to give credit to the Facebook group Doll Paper. They have this adorable printable Easter basket, and I don't remember what, oh yeah, this was Valentine's Day. Little fan. That motivated me to get back to working on my Kestner. And so yeah, if you want to look them up on Facebook, it's a fun little group. There's a lot of cute things and discussions going on. This is my Kestner, and I had that repaired, and the color blend, so I had it all painted and repaired, and the color wasn't right. In one light it looked fine, and then I moved her into a different light source and it looked awful. And so I went to remove just the paint, and the Durhams that I used to do the repair basically disintegrated, I believe, and so I just continued to take it back. But this is still solid. That's kind of amazing to me that that part is still solid, rigid. I don't have to redo that part. It's a piece of cloth. It has a little bit of the Durham's putty on it, and it's holding its shape. There's a lot of glue, I think, too, which might be why it's holding its shape. Her eyes have been replaced because the original glass eyes had that startled look, and one of them was really thin glass, and when I was removing them to be able to set up to do their other repairs, and I don't know if you can see this in there, but I replaced the piece of felt that is in her open mouth. Anyway, when I was doing that part, plus I think, yeah, it had gotten moldy, and I needed to remove the everything that was in the interior of her head because it was musty, moldy. And anyway, the eye was damaged. So I never was a fan of the startled look, so it didn't bother me to replace her eyes. And like I said, this is a sentimental project. This is not something that I think has any value financially. You can maybe see in there the pink flannel that I use is where there are cracks. It's stabilizing the cracks that are in her head. This book right here, the Handbook of Doll Repair and Restoration, is excellent. It's where I've gotten most of my information that I've been experimenting with, and where I got the information on the bodies. This is not in there. I came up, this is what her body looked like without the purple lines. She had these type of knees originally with that kind of bend. The feet were completely empty. I mean, everything from knee down was completely empty of cork. And this was all really, really thin through her body. And it was leather. And her little flappy arms that I still haven't done a reproduction of it. This kind of would be the shape of the leather, and it would have been attached. Anyway, once I got this prototype done and was looking at her on it and the playability, or just for me, I don't care for it. It doesn't, even if it had, in fact, more so if it had proper cork in it, and this was leather, which I tried to find an appropriate leather, and I have limited resources, and I'm used to shopping for leather where I go in and I touch it, and I haven't been able to do that in years. So shopping by a knowledge of what the individual pieces of leather are referred to is a minefield I never learned. I mean, it feels like a minefield. I never learned the words, the references, the names of the different leathers. So I'm handicapped in that way. I cannot know what to look for, and I tried a leather, and it's in a price range where I felt like I was spending more than I actually had allocated to doing this, and now I'm just like, no, just give it up, walk away from the leather, do her a cloth body. And this muslin one turned out great, but like I said, I'm not a fan of these joints. It would be accurate historically, but since I am not trying to make a historical restoration, it's not important to me. This is my favorite body. This is a reproduction bluette style, and this is my favorite. If I could put her on this body, I would, but as you can see, when she slides on over the top nicely, but her arms wouldn't work right. And then there would also be the issue of attaching the shoulder plate. I guess it could be done, but like I said, this wouldn't work right. So I would rather her have a body that worked right for the shoulder plate. So I tried this one, which is straight out of the book, and it's a little small for her, the scale that I worked at. And again, after I got it finished, this is her bottom, and then the hips attach with a rod. If I were doing it out of leather, the rod would go through both hips in the bottom here, and then it would be hinged, and the legs could work independently. I sewed it together and didn't like it. Didn't like it at all. It just wasn't hitting that magic space for me. And of course, then you would have legs. These are the paper clay legs that I've been working on. They aren't quite where I want them, but they would go in here with another pin through, and then you would have movement at the knee. And I thought it would be the type of body that I was looking for, you know, to be able to have it jointed and whatnot. But I'm not actually happy with it. I do like the shape here for her, wider here rather than this narrow chest that comes in. And the other goal is I have clothes that will fit this bluette style body, and I would really like to be able to put them on her. So I'm trying to get it to come out in a similar size so that it, at the very least, it's not too snug at the waist. And this doll body is just really too slim. Also was working on this body, which I would eventually like, you know, you're not going to be able to tell what this is, I realize. This is the size of a Cindy, slightly smaller than Barbie body. And I want to be able to produce that. That's a body that eventually I want to be able to make and have available. I'm toying with the idea of a paperclay head for that too. But that has been my focus over the weekend. This is from a couple of years ago. This was all produced. This part was all produced this weekend. And I started these a couple of years ago. The odd things that you keep starting and then having to put away and hide from yourself. The baby that I'd been working on didn't get any attention, but the Granny's other hand, I got it slimmed down. Let's see. I'll reach over here. I did a lot of carving on it and slimmed it down, but I'm going to have to go back and smooth and get it shaped more like the other hand. This is the one that holds the walking stick. And let's see. I was reminded of the hilarity that happened here. So you might be able to see the spots on my sheep's face. That's coffee. Not very long before it got put away, there was an accident with the coffee and splattered. It doesn't harm it in any way. It's just got little coffee stains. And of course, you paint over that. And I noticed when I pulled it out, well, now I don't see it, but there is a little bit of a scratch on his nose. Things, you know, that can happen to the paper clay when it's not protected. Although I don't know how much protection paint protects it more from moisture. Anyway, so found my sheep's head that goes with the sheep's feet. So now I'm going to give this a once over and decide whether or not to just, if it's ready for paint. And that will be able to be painted, and I'll be able to do the body on it, which I believe is going to be felt and a bit of needle felting curls to flesh out some fuzz, curly fuzz around on his head. Let me know if there's any questions you have on that. Otherwise, I don't really have anything else to share. I know that I'm going to be going back to working on gnomes this week. I'm hoping to make more progress and a decision on how I'm going to approach this project. And I'll share as decisions are made, and maybe I can squeeze in some time to get Granny's hands to match. That would be nice. Then I can move on to her feet. Here's the fairy house. The idea that needs to be worked out is in that I haven't actually experimented with it again on that level, is to take these pieces, and you'll see it's labeled interior, and apply them to corrugated cardboard and figure out the order that needs to happen in. But you would print them out if you wanted to decorate them. And my thoughts of how I would do it would be to paint like your interior photos, if you wanted to paint little pictures of photos. It seems awkward to explain it that way, but, or say you wanted a kitchen stove sitting here, and just to make it look like there was more space, you put the details of room, the like stoves, or a fireplace, or a bed even could be painted on the wall to look like the room went further. And then there is 2 prints of the door to go on each side of a piece of corrugated cardboard. There are also windows here that you can decorate, either painted in a color or to look like wood. And I think there's enough here so that you can, it looks like I've got you an extra, like an oops window too, but you'd use one on the exterior and one on the interior. Now, if you wanted to do this where you didn't look at the interior and you didn't have access to the interior, then everything would be just done for the exterior. But then you would apply the window on the outside, and then you could choose whether or not to cut out the little window frame, the little window panes. You could even install plastic behind this after you cut out, and then you put the trim, another one on the inside to match up, so that it has the trim on both the inside and the outside. And there's a chimney and some flower boxes, and this is what the exterior wall looks like before any decoration is done. There's door frames so that you can get that 3-dimensional pop going. This is the interior ceiling, which is plain. You could put beams or lights if you wanted to have them painted on, or you could actually hang a light in there. This is the roof. The end wall looks basically the same as the sides, but with a peak. And there's the front wall. If you didn't want to apply corrugated cardboard for depth, if you just wanted to take and keep it like this, you could. The windows, obviously, there's not any windows anywhere. So those would have to be applied. But my thought was to put some decoration into one, and kind of like the Mudwood Cottage illustration, where it's got a vine going up and around, some wood texture on the exterior windows and door frame, and then some fun color on the interior. That was my plan. So that's where it's at right now, and I'm hoping to get that done before too long. I also forgot to mention that if you haven't gotten a notification or seen and you wanted one of those little teapots, I got those listed last night. There are 5 of them, and then there are the tiny little mugs are also there and available. I still have 2 of the larger mini mugs. Seems so funny to say larger, but there are still 2 of the larger mini mugs, and so what I did was I listed them with their measurements so that you can tell what size each mug is, because they are a little different from each other even, and go from there. And I put the diner mug, which is a completely different style and completely different scale, in its own listing, and the teapots are all individually listed, so look out for that. And maybe the link to the shop should be down in the description. I hope you enjoyed that little update in what's going on with the crafting. I would have rather have spent some time actually crafting, but I seem to be a bit scattered. I did spend an awful lot of time this weekend outside in the sun. Ha ha ha. It wasn't actually that sunny. The sun was out. It was nice, but it was not actually all that warm out there. But I was reclaiming space in the yard that is near our apple tree, and the apple tree was getting encroached upon by the thimbleberries, and it's something that I did when we first moved here, was to clear that area, and no one has spent any time over there maintaining clearing it or anything. And it was time to reclaim the space, and so I did a lot of pulling out of thimbleberries and whatnot. So it's a lot of physical labor that kind of, and then there was a birthday celebration on top of that. Maybe why? Anyway, the scatter is real, and I want you to have a great week, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Welcome back to another